Hi everybody, here is a video on lumps caused by the Hyaluron pen, what causes them as well as how to get rid of them. Okay, so the most common reason is not having the right angle of your pen. If your pen is not 100% 90 degrees flush against the skin, if it is not flush against the lip or the skin, then what happens is your pen only has so much power. So if it's left at an angle and you release the hyaluronic acid, what's going to happen is it'll shoot at an angle and not be able to penetrate the depth that it should, and therefore it'll be left superficially on the skin. That means you'll be able to feel it and see it, it'll leave a lump. Doing that will also cause a lot of bruising and swelling, so it's a big no-no. Always make sure that no matter where you're holding the pen, on the skin, in the lip, as long as you are flush with the skin, 90 degrees flush with the skin. That way you won't have any product lush, you won't have any, well, you'll have minimal bruising, you'll have minimal swelling, and your product will penetrate properly, because again, this pen only has so much pressure. If your actual device doesn't have enough pressure in it, so the device itself is faulty, the chances of that is minuscule. Please don't immediately suspect your pen is faulty, but it is a possibility. Pocketing when you do your shots, if you are pressing the device very hard against the skin, you might actually be pushing it into bone or into teeth or into a hard surface, and that's actually going to push the product back, which means again you'll have lumps or bumps. So make sure that you're using a soft cushioning, almost like a pocketing technique, so that there's a soft area for the pen to go onto. When you do your shots, you need to use a firm amount of pressure, but not hard pressure. Just be firm and have 90 degrees. Make sure that the full surface area of your ampule is covered and you won't have any problems. To prevent lumps and bumps, you can also just make sure you stay out of certain areas. So the wet line in the lips, that's a no-go zone. I don't recommend you ever work there. And also try and stay away from this tissue close to the wet line. I teach my students to stay mostly on the vermilion line of the lips, so for where we do contouring, or also just below it. So obviously it depends on how much space you have with the lip and what result you're trying to accomplish, but the deeper into the lip you go, the higher the risk of having a lump or a bump left behind. Then also too much hyaluronic acid in one session. If your client has really small lips, take into consideration that you can only give her so much hyaluronic acid in one session. Rather do a more conservative amount and build it up over a series of 3 sessions than go in with like 1.5 mils of serum in one session and have her struggle with lumps and bumps. Especially in really small lips, it'll be very noticeable and uncomfortable. Then also, the thicker the serum, the higher the risk of forming lumps and bumps. So for example, if you're new to Hyaluron pen, I recommend you start working with a thinner viscosity serum to start, and then move on to a deeper or a thicker viscosity serum as you become a little bit more experienced. You'll also have more product loss with the thicker serum, assuming your technique isn't 100% perfect yet. 1, 2, 3. After taking your shot, wait a few seconds before pulling away your pen. How to get rid of lumps on the lips. So let's start off with pre-treatment. Hydration is key. The more hydrated your client is, the less likely she is to get the lumps and bumps, assuming you're doing everything correctly. The more dehydrated she is, the more apparent the lumps and bumps will look after the treatment. Then during treatment, please make sure that you don't neglect the step of massaging. I almost want to refer to it as like a bit of a deep massage. After I've done an area, let's say I've completed the top lip, I'll do a very thorough massage on that area. I like to use arnica oil to do a little bit of massaging, but vitamin E oil also works perfectly. But don't neglect this step at all. Give it a good amount of attention. And the same with the bottom. Do a very good amount of massaging. Really make sure that you're spreading the hyaluronic acid before your client leaves. If necessary, instruct your client on massaging. So for this to be as effective as possible, it is ideal for her to do this after she's heated the area, either with a warm compress or after a hot shower. If it's nice and hot, it'll be more effective. Then what you can teach her to do is, or you can just demonstrate it for her. She can either put one finger inside the mouth and the other one on the outer surface and really massage that area to break down that lump or bump, like so. Alternatively, she can almost bite on the area a little bit if she can get to it, just to kind of continuously break it up throughout the day. or just general massaging on the area, just constantly massaging. So 2 to 3 times a day at least for as many days as required in order to break that up. I find it very effective. Also squeezing the lumps and bumps, that's I've had to do for myself because I've done 1 or 2 treatments on myself where my angles were not 100%. It's way easier when somebody else does it for me. But then if there is a little lump or bump, to apply pressure on that little bump or lump and hold the pressure in place for a couple of seconds, let's say 20 to 30 seconds, and then release, and continue to do that as often as you can, especially like 3 or 4 times consecutively, as often as you need to until the lump or bump has broken up. Another 2 little tools that are very, very helpful. One is a vibrating facial massaging tool. I like to finish off my treatments with a little bit of that vibration. Just occlude the tool before you use it on the client, or a jade roller, like so. Another tool that I like to use immediately after the treatment, again, if you're using it on your client, occlude it with some plastic that you can throw away so you can properly sanitize and disinfect this. And massage the area immediately after the treatment. This is a very inexpensive tool, so to recommend either for you to retail it to the client or for you to recommend they purchase one is never a bad idea, especially if they're going to be doing this in the long term so that they themselves can massage it. And obviously it's got many other benefits other than just for hyaluron pain purposes. If the hyaluronic acid is very superficial, you'll almost be able to just extract it. So taking a little lancet, creating a tiny little pinprick and just squeezing the area might actually just be able to extract the hyaluronic acid. This I've only seen maybe 3 times in like my whole career of doing hyaluron pain. So not very common, but it does happen. So if it is very superficial, just try a little extraction and you should be able to release the hyaluronic acid. So if a few months have gone by and your client is still struggling with a lump or a bump, then unfortunately the massaging has obviously not been effective enough. Again, that's why you shouldn't neglect that step. Super important. It can prevent it altogether. However, if that step was neglected or you did a really, not bad treatment, but your technique wasn't right, you used too much hyaluronic acid, you don't have a lot of experience yet, then you might have to send the client to a medical practitioner to have the hyaluronidase injected. I recommend this is done by a medical practitioner because there is a chance that your client might have an allergic reaction to it. So that's unfortunately a step that needs to be taken should it be necessary. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you learned something from this video. If you have anything to add, please just add it in the comments below. We can all learn a lot from one another. In the lips, that's an... Okay.